whole philosophy of patenting behind computer related inventions. Now, if you talk about computer related invention, computer mainly comprises of two things: hardware and a software. Whereas hardware is simple electronics, uh, whereas hardware is simple electronics, which is traditionally an electrical appliances and electrical systems which were patentable subject matters traditionally. The second aspect had been software. Now, before IBM came with the whole philosophy of building business systems around software, that was in early 70s, 69 to be exact, 1969 to be exact. Software used to be a complementary part of a computer because it was mainly used by scientists. They used to take it as a for their scientific calculations and works, and software used to come specific to their use for one particular person, and it used to become bundled with hardware, and there was no economic value for software as such. Then IBM started unbundling and started selling software per se, without hardware, and software started getting. Then with Apple or Macintosh and other things, desktop computing became important in mids of 70s, 75, 76. And then the software became an item of mass use. One software being used by million of people around the globe. And it started gaining huge value. Now, when it starts gaining huge value, so, and it was used by many number of people and required many of number of people to actually build it. So the core algorithm or the core system design behind a software was no longer can be kept as a trade secret, which was a traditional method of keeping the core idea behind developing a software as a trade secret. And if someone copies it, then it was a copyright infringement. So computer software was a subject matter of copyright protection. So in US there were number of litigations that started happening. Case laws came with Willis, Chakravarti versus Diamond and others, and in US patents were started getting granted for. Okay. Thank you. Now I think the system is done. So patents was granted in US in early 80s on software. As it moved around the world, other geographies also started looking at patentability of computer software. And Europe started granting patents in the late 80s and early 90s. Am I right, Gino? Um, but India as such, there was no economic value of around software because we were not producing software, and in the early 90s and throughout the till today we are basically a IT services industry with a market of around $100 billion, but we call ourselves an IT superpower, but the reality of the fact is that we produce very little software products or components. So patentability was not a critical aspect which in India, and it was only issues of piracy of computer software which were actually of concern to, and that to companies that were actually selling software in India like Microsoft and others. But when software started becoming important, there was debates in Indian systems as how do we actually incorporate computers, programs or softwares in Indian system. And it was in 2002 amendment to the Indian Patent Act that we first time brought in the word computer program, but that was not with a positive intent. That was with an exclusion intent, where we said computer software per se is not a subject matter of patentability. We were little different, or we tried to be little different from as such. So intent was similar to Europe, but as systems evolved from 2002 to 2016, the computer related inventions or software patents are looked at very different in two jurisdictions, that is either in Europe and India. Talked about anything which gave a technical effect is a subject matter of patentability in the EPO when it's related to software. But India, there is one difference between, we not talk about a technical effect. We talk about an invention, software invention having linkages to hardware. Unless and until the invention has linkages to hardware and has a technical effect, then it is a subject matter of patentability. That was the intent of the 2000 amendment, subsequently kept as such in the 2005 amendment, where all the debates that went around the word per se and what was the intent of per se was talked about a software having linkages to an hardware and have a technical effect and besides all other conditions, new, novel, inventive with an industrial application, is a subject matter of patentability. So this was the way we actually looked at patents. Now comes, how do you define the two terms? He talked about very simply that a technical effect and the examples 1, 2, 3. But we talked about two things. One, a technical effect. Two, having linkages to hardware. Most of you are prior art searchers. How will you actually ascertain what is a technical effect and how is it linked to an hardware? Any software has to run on an hardware, so is linked to an hardware. Right? So that issue of linkage to a hardware goes. Is it so? The second thing is, what is a technical effect? You walking on a road is a technical in nature. Your muscles are working. There is a whole machine that works. Doing business requires lot of efforts in doing things around it. That is a technical effect. So business method patent should be patentable. So these are the two very typical terms that how do you deal with it. First, how do you define a technical effect, and how do you define its linkage to the hardware that the Indian examiners find themselves challenged to. Actually, this presentation is a little old, so I'm talking, recently we had lot of debates on CRI guidelines. So I'm talking from that philosophy, so I thought I'll close this down. So now these are the two things. So what we came out, there was, so the different examiners, this is working? I'm audible? Huh? नहीं नहीं ठीक है. So the different examiners started interpreting the statute that computer software per se is not a subject matter of patentability. Business methods, algorithms, and mathematical methods, including gaming, is excluded under the Indian Patent Act. So first is the business method. Any process of doing business which is automated using a computer, simply, it might improve its efficiency, but it's only a method of doing business. All inventory softwares, all softwares related to calculations and all that, all methods, whether you are analyzing as a consultant, whether it's related to analyzing stock data, mutual funds, even though they are bringing efficiency to economics, they do not qualify as patentable subject matters. They are business methods, right? That was the way it had to be looked at. Comes the mathematical methods. The simple philosophy is that why these mathematical methods? A software is built on an algorithm, then on a system design, and then you program it. Program are lines of codes. The more artistic you are in programming, the more efficient coding you can do. So it's an artistic work, it's a copyrightable subject matter. When it comes to system design, yes, an efficient system design makes you use lesser memory, lesser space, lesser storage space and other things, and it becomes a subject matter of patentability. But if it is a simple algorithm, mathematical algorithm, creating a program for computing, which a human being would have done, might have taken ages, but that does it in few seconds, it's not a patent. That's a pure mathematical method. The third thing, algorithms, mathematical methods, business algorithms. Any algorithm as such, unless and until it is implemented and creates a technical effect outside the computer, it's a patentable subject matter. The whole challenge comes to what is called as a linkage to hardware. The 2015 guidelines of that India came up with CRI, which exactly interpreted CRI or computer per se the way Europe does it, where it says that you do a 3-point test. You look at a software, whether it's a pure software, yes, you do the CRI guideline test. Whether there is a linkage to a hardware, yes, then you go to step 2. If there is a linkage to a hardware, whether it's new, novel and inventive, yes. Then the third step, whether it creates a technical effect outside the computer, then it's a subject matter of patentability outside the computer or outside the invention as such into an hardware. Now that was the basic philosophy on which EPO started off. And I'm sorry to say about EPO, with encompassing under this philosophy, they started granting patents for business methods also. And what's the philosophy? Gino will be able to tell us better. Are you convinced? Maybe yes, I am not at least. So there was a lot of talk, there are civil society, academicians who talked about that this is a backdoor entry to allowing software patents. And the 2015 guidelines were taken off, and there came the 2016 guidelines, where it said if there is a novel software, a novel hardware, these two combined together, and this is the invention, then it's a patentable subject matter. Now, as we talked about, the question is the novel hardware is always a patentable subject matter. There is no doubt about it. There is no debate about it. So the CRI guidelines of 2016, which came out in January on computer related inventions, again started getting debated, and there was a committee formed and all that. And now what my philosophy is. The world has moved on, as he rightly said, when 73 the law was made in your EPO, there was no mobiles and no other things. We made it in 2002. There was a philosophy on 2015, 2005. But in today's date, what is in hardware? If we look at a hardware, you will look at that hardware itself is software implemented, right? If you look at a new MP3 audio system, the 70% value of that MP3 audio system, which is a pure hardware, is it in the embedded software that is inside it. The next generation FPGA chip will not come out by reducing that size from 9 nanometer to 6 nanometers, but but the more efficient design that is embedded into that chip to get in more transistors and more memory. The functionality of a hardware is of the same hardware is made better using a software. So that's the philosophy of 2016, and that should be reflected in the CRI guidelines. Or how do we reflect CRI? And I think no, leave it. He wants me to talk like Modi to drink water between the. So we have to be like our leaders, eh? Yeah. So that's the philosophy on which the 2016 guideline is, and there is debate. I hope very soon some decisions will come out. I don't know what are the decisions. So the whole concept of what I wanted in India is being talked about of CRI guidelines is not of technical effect, but the technical effect that is created inside the hardware through a software is the whole debate. That is the difference between the EPO system and the Indian system right now of looking. But let me tell you the underlying principle. There is no philosophy. It's all economics. The way economics moves, the patent system moves. There is no reason for granting patents to pharma. But in the early 20th century, when pharma started getting lot of economic value, pharmaceutical patents started being granted. Same is the case with software. These are not the basic philosophical items of patentability. So much of litigation goes around these two items of subject matters, and it will always remain, because if you don't change the philosophy of patents being granted to technical machines and all that, which the Industrial Revolution talked about, these debates will go on around the world. Thank you.
Dr. Garg. Now I invite Dr. Garg and Gino both. Please come on the dais. And now floor is open for question answers. You can ask questions.
Sir, we really first we all on behalf of the audience, I would like to thank you for organizing this and giving us opportunity to talk. Sir, we've entered the digital era now. We don't live in Stone Age. You know, the hardware has moved all virtual, like you said, in FPGA, and things are moving to all virtual spaces. All new inventions are mostly coming in software space. India, as such, sir, I'm just coming to this. India, as such, has a very less capital to invest in labs and stuff. Software is our core strength in India. If we don't incentivize software patents, and if we don't get software patents worldwide, how would India get this forex going? I think the computer guidelines which came in 2016 are actually a little regressive. And how likely do you think it's going to go the European way?
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Huh?
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I forgot, sir. So I'm from the industry. I run a funded startup in software space. We've got about 20 patents applied in PCT. So we're looking to get some. Sir, our funding depends on patents being granted, right? So if we don't get granted patents in India as well, our funding chances go low.
So if you look at the total software, as such, the total worldwide total software market is $1.2 trillion right now. Of that, 600 around is 500 to 600 billion is for services, and 700 around billion is for products. For services related, is no issue of patents. It's in the 700 billion space that the patents are relevant. Of the 500 billion services space, we have 150 billion in our pocket, India. That's a substantial number, 33%, 28 to 30%. But of the 700 billion of the product market, we have only captured 2.1 billion, right? And the whole startup culture, which is also mainly centered around business method innovations, has also not generated enthusiasm with regard to software products in India. So unless and until we mature, people like you are few and far. You might be one in Delhi, and one more might be in Gurgaon, who have products to file patents for. We run a scheme called SIP-EIT, where we actually support our inventors on software patenting cost internationally. That grants 15 lakhs per patent. And let me tell you, I'm not boasting because we are running the scheme. I have been in the government for last 16 years. I was a academician and in the industry also. This is one of the most liberal schemes that government has come up with. But the sad part is, in 21 months, we were only able to support how many, Anil? 15 applications. It's not because of because we only got 20. So the whole issue is not what I talked about, the economics of the system. Unless and until we become mature as a product industry, which we hope to do it very soon, these systems will get matured out. And I agree with you, if software is so important as an innovation subject matter, it should be protected better. But how it should be protected? Let the time come when we get matured enough.
Thank you, sir.
In Europe, we had another approach because we didn't evolve naturally because a couple of years ago we posed a question to the enlarged board of the Europe because there were two possibly conflicting, or we thought possibly conflicting case laws of an old description, Vikram, and some recent decisions. And in fact, the enlarged board of appeal decided that I'll take it in my hands, otherwise it's going up and down all the time. That there was no conflict between the decisions. It was just evolution of time, evolution of technology. And they moreover fully supported the approach that we are following, which I explained to you. Why are we doing that? Are we granting business methods? No, we are not granting business methods per se. We only grant business methods which have a technical contribution. And that must be something technical, not in the business side. The grant rate in Geo6Q, talking about business methods, is below 10%. So we refuse an enormous amount of these applications. But that's part of now slowly people start to know what they can expect and not expect. We are there also, of course, now supported in the US with the Alice decision. Since the Alice decision there, also they are getting more and more strict. And I have the impression, I was in New York 2 weeks ago on an IP conference as well, and we have the impression that in fact the US law is getting very close to our law if it would be applied systematically, which is not the case yet. The aspect of copyright was mentioned, and we have looked into that, of course. Of course, copyright gives you protection for a program. But if you write a program in C++ and you write another program in, I don't know, Fortran or whatsoever, it's not protected. Because the ideas behind there are not protected. It's the language, it's the expression that's protected, not the idea behind it. And that's the idea of a patent. You give a patent for a technical solution. But that's the European philosophy.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Professor P.K. Shah from IIT Guwahati. My question is for Dr. Herman. It's regarding the issue on this obviousness and not obviousness of the suppose, and it is more pertinent because in the computer industry, because it is very easy to challenge whether this computer program is obvious or not obvious. Now, suppose if my patent application is rejected by EPO saying that it is not obvious, what are the what are my avenues to apply for reassessment? That is my one question. And secondly, if my patent application is sanctioned by other authorities like US Patent Agency or Japan or India per se, so can I justify in this manner that other patent agencies are granting my patent, why EPO is not?
Well, let me start with the last part. It's an argument that we see regularly with the examiners, and simple answer is the law is different. We have a different juridical system, which I explained you here, which is different than the US, which is different than Japan, because Japan is even also easily granting business methods, we know that. Coming to your first question, if in first instance what we call Director General 1, so the examining division refuses, you have the possibility to appeal. There's the boards of appeal. So that's the second step, and that is possible. There is a bit of a backlog there as well. We hope that they solve their cases soon. But that's if whatever decision made by the first instance, being the examining division or the opposition division, can always be appealed before the boards of appeal.
Sir, I'm Neera Saxena, Kiran IPRS scheme. I want to ask that if suppose there's someone who he's a very honest person, and he had developed a software and he applied for copyright. Okay, he didn't go for patent. And in copyright, what I think is it is the expression of art, and so that his or her program is doing certain tasks. Suppose task X, and then it is completed. It is decomposed using certain modules like A, B, C, D, E. Okay, this task S is being executed by A, B, C, D, E. So if any other person who's doing exactly same, he's using exactly same language and changing just one module, then how the Copyright Act is going to protect that software, that creation? Because according to the definition, the next person is also creating a new state of art or something else. So how it is protecting the patent, because in computer science you can do, I mean, if a module is working, giving some output, you have infinite ways to do it, right? So this is my question.
If it is substantive copying, yeah, it's an infringement to the copyright. Let's understand what a copyright is. Copyright only protects you against piracy. Right? It's a mass item of, it's again only, so as such what you are showing it on the screen, that's only protected. It doesn't create, underlying idea or the technology behind that software is never protected, as Gino has already said in the previous answer. So copyright gives you very limited protection, but it's important because computer is one technology which is an item of mass distribution, easily can be copied, and second, it has got a substantive technological background in development. So how do you protect the technological development? That's not protected by copyright. But if it is a substantive, if your program as such is copied and you just change one module, it's not it is an infringement under copyright. So thank you. So thank you, Gino. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, in one of my patent applications, the EPO raised quite a lot of concerns regarding the clarity of claims. And at one point, it got to the point that the examiner said you go for an oral hearing. So although the basic patent requirements were met, but then the clarity of claims things carried on for quite a bit. So can you give me some idea exactly why you do all this, and what's the exact requirement from the EPO on this side?
Okay, we have in the EPC an article 116, which says right to be heard. So we cannot make a negative decision unless we have heard all the arguments of the applicant. If we get somewhere in a situation where we don't progress anymore through normal communications, at that point in time we call in the applicant, and in your case that will be your European representative, because only a European person or a European representative can come in and defend for the last time the points of view, and have a last possibility to convince the full examining division that you have an invention or not. But it's the only way that we have after one or two communications to finish off a case. So it's the end stage. And in that point in time, it's a question that you give enough information to your attorney and enough guidance to say what you can or cannot accept, if at all.
Suggested I take the suggestions made by the examiner and not pursue it further. Number one, the oral hearing would be extremely expensive. Number two, even if you go for the oral hearing, the examiner is going to only give you 5 or 10 minutes, and then he's going to pretty much say what he's already said earlier. So it seems more of a lame duck kind of a session more than anything else.
Well, if your communication is really fully negative, you will get summons, and then it's up to you to decide if you think there is a way out. Is it costly? Well, first of all, you probably don't have to fly over because you have to instruct your attorney. And secondly, if you have an attorney which has a video installation, then you can contact us via video now as well. So that lowers the traveling costs of your attorney. That's a possibility that we have and is used quite a lot as well. It all depends on the case.
Is there anything beyond the oral hearing as well? Or?
You can have a further discussion during lunch. We are already
a long time, I have been talking about one aspect that the players have a different category of protection. should neither be a patent nor a copyright. Not utility patent as such. Yes. So like trademark, geographical indication was not there. Now geographical indication is a new way of protection. You know, joint trademark, which is trademark is different, but it's a new thing, a group level. Similarly, copyright, the softwares should have a different type of protection, independent category altogether. And you have age in your favor. Talking about this aspect, and let us see if something can emerge. I had talked about it in even 2001 conference when which I organized at that time, but it has not, picked up. But you are, I go in so many areas, maybe that entrepreneurship, marketing, and so on and so forth. IPR is one of my areas, but you are all in core IPR, so I think you can take this thing further. Thank you.
The European practices as well as the Indian practices with regard to patentability issues in computer-related inventions and as they call it computer implemented inventions. As they call it computer implemented inventions in the EPO. Now we come to the second part of the technical session. Here I would just like to give you a small background. I think in the morning also Dr. A.K. Garg had explained about this seminar. Prior to this seminar, we had a 3-day advanced training and patent search and patent information program conducted at MeitY by CDAC and in association with the European Patent Office, EPO. Gino Herman was the key speaker there also. In that program, they have identified 5 master trainers certified by MeitY, CDAC and EPO. These trainers will be used all over India.